Hello, people who inhabit this earth. We are back!
What is okay?
Insights for nerds! No?
Please stop.
And do you know I actually watched Game of Thrones again? Couldn't understand what was going on, so I just stopped watching again.
It's because you have to have an IQ above 20.
Good guy.
Like, it's not like an intelligent thing, but...
Oh yeah, he's been physically injured, so it's been hard to do videos. I've had like wrist issues, but people are gonna think disgusting when I say that. So
can you not? Let's just whatever you're about to start.
What's the 1080p quality you have?
Okay, what are we doing the video on?
Okay, so with EU's first week wrapped in the books, we're gonna do LEC week 2 predictions for day 1.
I was we were terrible.
So what were your first thoughts on EU's LEC's day 1?
I mean,
and day 2.
We did a pretty terrible job
predicting
this.
In my defense, as I said before, you can't take like what is basically a challenger scene and think it's going to translate into the stage, because 90% of the time it does not work.
What are you talking about?
That's like basically saying that people knew that Griffin would have been great.
Well, the problem with that is Mad Lions wasn't really a challenger scene, more so as they were a minor EU scene. I think they were like the best European team.
Like, I knew who Selfmade was. The issue is that like that's like basically saying you knew like Griffin would have been great in the LCK. Like, you can't predict for those things.
The problem is that Pyrion overperformed their game against Fnatic. Obviously, I think that he doesn't usually play that well. I mean, Selfmade, again, is still an incredible jungler, so I'm
their
not
top
too
laner's
surprised.
actually not that bad.
But Selfmade got completely exposed against when they played against the Misfits.
Oh yeah, they did play against Misfits. That was that's still gonna be the fastest game of the split, right there, right?
What are you even looking at?
No, they played against Misfits. When he faced someone as competent as Maxlore just like.
I mean, even Maxlore himself wasn't like it was.
Maxlore's looked impressive too for the past 2 days.
Maxlore's looked like one of the best junglers in EU right now. I'm gonna be honest. Like I do think we kind of underestimated how good SK is. I think they're at the very least 8th place, but I'm still gonna say towards the end of the split they're gonna fall towards the bottom. Yeah, like,
because people got to factor in last year. People were saying Giants and Rocat looked pretty good, and look where they ended up at.
Well, I mean, not giving them credit for what they've done is a little bit farther than what I'm gonna go.
I think people like really overestimate week 1 performances.
I think that they look good. I think that SK overperformed to what I thought they were capable of. Pyrion played well. Selfmade obviously is a great jungler. Crown Shot and Dreams are not an incredible bot lane, but I think that Crown Shot's pretty decent. Dreams, I mean, like if anybody remembers him from like the past, he's not been incredible.
He played better than Mithy. Well,
awesome. So and then like there's a lot of and then what did I mean a lot of these people are just like proven. We've seen a lot of them just not performing well, and at this point, like SK Gaming honestly just completely blew my expectations out of the water. I mean,
I think that Rogue. I mean, I wasn't even. I was just not surprised Rogue played that bad. I probably should have. I should have switched them. I probably should have Rogue at 10th. I probably should have SK at 9th. But I thought Rogue's players, having been on the stage before and having a bunch of that experience from last year, Wadid even going to semifinals of Worlds, I thought all that stuff would help culminate the team a lot better. But there we go. But that's pretty much what we got. So we have EU's second week 2, day 1 coming up right now. So the first game of week 2, day 1 is going to be Fnatic versus Vitality. So Fnatic went 0-2. Vitality looked pretty good. We talked about Mowgli probably not being able to synergize with them. If you heard their comms, he's just not speaking, but he's played pretty well. So I guess that's better than.
If you want my honest opinion on this, I think that Vitality absolutely looked like, in terms of teams that won, I think they looked like towards the worst versions of most of those teams. Like Vitality was behind the entire game. The only reason they ended up winning was because
Attila just knew how to play Vayne.
No, Attila was the reason they're behind, man. Attila completely fed
you can't really blame.
I can blame him for anything, man. That was a terrible start.
It was also the reason why they won by his Vayne outplays.
The reason they won is Cabochard not being completely inept. Cabochard kept him in the game. He's the reason the game didn't get too far out of hand. Attila, honestly, yeah, he popped off during the last team fight, but again, he was the reason as to why it
got that far.
Yeah, it got so far behind, man. Like they got stomped in lane. It was just absolutely horrible.
That's completely stuffed.
Like, yeah, I don't think Kajuse lost, more so as he didn't do anything.
Jack Troll is still as bad as I expected.
I don't think he's bad. I think that we over exaggerate how bad he is. But for the most part, like Team Vitality, like
But as bad as they're being right now, are they better than Fnatic? Because Fnatic is absolutely atrocious.
I'm going to put it out there. I think this is going to be a bounce back because they're playing against what I would consider not that strong of a team in Vitality. Vitality has no direct, like, kind of synergy around the map, it looks like. Even though their team has kind of been together for a while, it looks like they don't have any direction.
But this is what we said in the offseason. With Mowgli coming in, it was going to be that way.
Well, I didn't expect it to be this bad. Like, they literally only won. They lost the first game, obviously, and they only won the second game.
No, that game was better out of them. That game looked actually competitive. That was a close game against Schalke. It was relatively even up until the point where Schalke got Baron.
Yeah,
their day one looked better. I just felt like they were just going to look better day two because against Schalke, it didn't look that bad. It looked like they were playing like they played literally the same way they played last year. A team like Schalke, I think with the better players they have now, it's just a lot more easier for them to comprehend that style like Otawamne and Memento. Like, Memento completely hard carried Schalke for that game, too.
So, for the most part, I think that the problem with this team in Fnatic is I don't understand what's going on.
They don't really know what they're doing around the map. They don't have a purpose. Nemesis, I don't know what he's doing. Bwipo overextends. Broxa, it's really hard for him to pick who to gank for. He doesn't know who's going to be the exact carry. Reckless and Hillsing, it's not like they're playing really bad. It's more or less so their whole team is the top side of the map is just falling apart.
I mean, let's be
honest.
honest.
Not been playing bad, but that's not like...
I'm going to be honest. I think Bwipo has been playing absolutely terrible. Bwipo has not been playing... Like, in my opinion, this has probably been the worst I've seen Bwipo since he started his career. Like, he's been one of the... He has big eyes. Like, it just seems like, at this point, I'm seeing a lot more of his weaknesses that weren't clear beforehand. Like, it seems like...
it was so ass covering up his weaknesses.
No, I would say more so, like, now that the team... Like, I don't know what's happened that's different with this team. Maybe Caps is... Now that there's a lot less pressure getting... No, more so pressure getting generated mid lane. There's a lot of these... weaknesses around the map getting exposed. I mean... I'm going to be honest, like, Bwipo's not looked incredible. I think he's looked like one of the worst top laners in the first week. Like, he has not looked good. I was
doing to say week 1 performances do not translate obviously to week 9.
They
this is what we're seeing right now.
It's possible that they don't, but again, this is still regular season.
Yeah.
These games mean something. If you're going to play this poorly, it's going to have a lasting effect on how well you do next, like, for the rest of the season still.
What were your first thoughts about Nemesis when you first saw him on the stage? I mean, he was only given Galio.
I mean, the thing about it is, Nemesis... I don't even want to blame him for that. I feel like that was a really hard matchup for him, like into that specific.
Just Corki.
Well, yeah.
I mean, no one really predicted Corki mid lane to come back.
I mean, Corki mid lane is just a good counter into him. It's a good counter into Galio.
So who are you gonna say for Vitality?
I'm gonna actually give the edge to Fnatic because I still think that Youngbuck is gonna be able to turn this team around. And on top of the fact that I don't think Vitality is kind of smart enough around the map to be able to punish them.
I think I'll go with Vitality. I didn't like what I looked at. I didn't like what I saw out of Fnatic. It looked like it was 5 people trying to do something. One person had an idea, the other people didn't agree with it, and one person just went in, and the other person just failed. Because when you look at their SK Gaming fights, one person was going in, the other people are like 5 seconds behind the play, and it's look like they're just really not coordinated. Vitality looks a bit more coordinated. It's just like they're not quick enough. They're not pulling the trigger fast enough, and that might be due to the fact they have a new jungler. So I'll give the edge to Vitality. I think Fnatic are going.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I just feel like the concept is their bot lane got smashed. Their bot lane got smashed, even though they got
smashed both days. Yeah, it wasn't just one.
It was like I do think that Norse Garen and Kami are substantially competent enough to beat most people. But the problem is that was just ridiculous. Like, the level at which they put their team behind, pretty much the reason that they almost lost that game. And yeah, Attila came back, almost won the game, but I mean, he won the game, but again, this game wouldn't have been out of hand if they had done decently in lane.
I'm going to say Vitality. I think Fnatic goes 0-3 so far, but who knows who they face next. So
Rogue versus Splice.
Rogue, it looks like the 10th place team.
I think they're obviously the 10th place team. Like, in terms of just, again, comparison to everybody else, I think that Splice is just...
Splice technically surprised a lot of people.
I think that Splice is going to smash this game. Their bot lane is incredibly strong.
Vizicachi played better. Humanoid and Abadaga, they're looking like weak points in the league that you can easily exploit.
I mean, even Nemesis himself isn't that great. I think that
Nemesis too.
Like, I think that all 3 of these new mid laners didn't look incredible. I think that...
These are going to be weak points in the season for veteran mid laners to exploit. I think you could easily see that. Like, I just don't see a real, like, viable reason to really think that they're gonna be like they're probably gonna have their moments where they're gonna shine, but it's not looking really good at the moment. And that might be week 1, but this stuff takes time to translate, and you still gotta factor that's still a growing pain too. There's still a growing pain they have to go through, and then when you get over that hump, we'll see how strong they are. But I think we'll be seeing Humanoid, Abadage, and Nemesis struggle for a bit. It's not just gonna be week 1, because you still have to translate it from scrims to the stage.
I mean, I don't even... Okay.
I mean, like, because Young Buck said in the interview they had an 80% win rate in scrims that obviously didn't translate to the stage. That's why I said the whole thing with Clutch. You know, you might have that in scrims, but...
See, the problem is that these are new people in comparison to Clutch, who I think are just in a concept of that they have the right mindset, they're fine. I think it's not really that kind of a...
big a difference?
It's not the same with Clutch, because I feel like these players aren't really... Like, as long as they're performing well, they're fine. More so is where Fnatic is relying on... They're more so macro-oriented, and they have to keep all this stuff up. Clutch is just run at your face, and if they're playing well, they're playing well. If they're not, they're not.
HQ and Wadid are probably going to be the worst bot lane.
It's just ridiculous. Like, why not keep Yarn in? Like, this team could have been moderately okay. There's no reason to... Like, he was absolutely keeping the team from not being anything.
It wasn't even Kikis' fault they lost.
Like, it's just the problem is there's no reason to keep... Wadid... I mean, HQ has shown what he's capable of. And...
It's nothing impressive.
It's not. And then Yarn and Wadid is a proven bot lane that did well in certain aspects. But HQ is just not good. Like, there was no reason to split this bot lane up. It just doesn't make sense to me why this doesn't move. But, again, I think that there's absolutely no way that... I don't want to put any emphasis on this because I'm getting all of these wrong. I'm going to be honest. Most of these have been wrong in my opinion. Like, for us.
Mine are the benefit of the doubt, you know, like, I'm coming in with some...
More strong... so he doesn't want to take any sort of blame for him being wrong?
Yeah, but I'm never wrong, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So,
Splice... Oh, Sencooks? Oh, I forgot the mid laner Sencooks. Yeah. I wouldn't say he looked impressive.
He did not.
Just played the same. Like, this guy's been... This is the same thing with HQ, except Sencooks is probably slightly better. You know what you're going to get out of these two. It's like I've seen Sencooks play for a very long time. I know
Sencooks is fine. I think Sencooks...
But we know what we're gonna get out of him.
I mean, that doesn't mean bad. That doesn't mean anything bad.
I feel like Kikis. I feel like he's not the reason why they lost, but their bot lane is just like substantially like just got obliterated. Now, to be fair, a lot of these teams did have some really tough week 1s, so I guess I'll take that in mind too. So you're gonna say Splice or Rogue? If you don't say Splice.
I mean, crazy. There's absolutely no way that if anybody predicts Rogue to win this, then you just got lucky. There's no way you could say with a clear mind that Rogue should win this.
I'm saying Splice.
Yeah.
All right, XL versus G2. So what do you think about XL for both days?
I mean, for the most part, I'm gonna say that I don't really want to put too much emphasis on the first week, obviously, but G2 looked incredible. G2 looked like by far and away the best team in the league. I think that Misfits is a close second. I mean, not is a second, but
I say tied for first. Actually,
I wouldn't say that close. Like, I think that honestly, they just win around the map more so than anything. Like Nuke Duck's ability to play a lot of these.
Nuke Duck was on Origin.
Why did I just? What was I talking about? I was just talking about the Vayne game, wasn't I? Okay, so for the most part, I think that what's it called? I think that Caps is literally just too impressive for the most part. Like, he's just been too much of a...
Like, a lot of people did predict that maybe he did only so well because he had Fnatic and a strong team. But no, this week proved he's still really good.
Yeah. On top of the fact that Kai'Sa... Perks played Kai'Sa. That's an ADC, and he played extremely well, in my opinion.
Like, but there are mages in the bot lane right now, too.
There are, but he didn't play mage. That's Kai'Sa's an ADC. He played Kai'Sa well. I think that this has proven that more than anything, that this is... Now that we've seen that he can play at least one ADC... You don't know what he's going to play. He can play mages, obviously, because he was a great mid laner, or he can play ADCs.
Mickey X played really well, too.
Yeah, I'm kind of, like, this G2 team might actually be the best Western team right now. Like, it's going to, I think that Team Liquid's going to have to prove something when they come in.
I think G2 will give Team Liquid a run for their money.
But XL, obviously, I wasn't too impressed with XL.
It wasn't that I wasn't impressed with them. It was more or less so I think they performed better than a lot of people expected them to be. Like, Exile played better. Exile played pretty decent. Kasing played pretty good. Expect played pretty... Expect was... he looked pretty off. But their team isn't looking like that bad.
I think they're still a 9th place. I think they're
they're still better than Rogue, I'd say.
And by far, I think it's a by far situation where they're quite a bit better than Rogue. I think that 10th place is quite a bit in 10th place, but like I don't see a situation where I think that a lot of
Exile would have to pop off so hard against Caps, and that would that's
never happened. Like the problem is that a lot of these players, I think they're decent, but I don't think any of them are top tier. I think that even Exile himself, who is probably the most in terms of pop off ability, is the highest level. I think Cassin's probably the most consistent player on the team, but Exile, like even on his really good days, is not capable of competing with Caps in my opinion. Like in no situation should Exile get. I mean, they're not gonna make the playoffs. I think that Rogue and XL are gonna be a solidified. We're not in the playoffs, and then everybody else is a toss up. So I think that everybody else can make the playoffs, but for the most part,
I think this is the freest win for G2 of the whole split.
I wouldn't so far. I mean, everything's been free for them right now. They're just smashing everybody, dude. Yeah, there's not been a consistently decent.
They don't
team.
face. I think Misfits and G2, if they don't face each other for a while, are gonna go undefeated for a while, and then when
they don't face anybody till like February or something. They don't face.
Yeah, so I think they're not gonna be losing games for a while. I think it's they would have to troll so hard to lose. Like it's really looking like this team is gonna be the winner of the split.
The problem with this is I don't know how good G2 is in terms of macro because they're just stomping. They're just beating everybody everywhere. So I don't really know how much emphasis to put on their macro play because I don't know how good it is. I would like to see it put into action. Like I'd like to see this team have to rely on macro, but it hasn't happened yet. So realistically, right for the beginning of the season, I don't see G2 losing any games until we see some of the
either they're gonna have to lose a game to Misfits or Schalke.
I don't think Schalke's going to be capable. Like not after their first week, I don't think Schalke's capable either.
I think Misfits is the closest team that might beat them.
Misfits maybe. Everybody else no.
Origin, they clapped Origin. That wasn't even fun. That wasn't even
And Origin didn't even look that terrible in their second game, to be honest.
I don't know about that. That looked close. It looked like it was one Fnatic, team fight away from losing.
Origin looked fine. I think Origin, obviously, in terms of they didn't outperform in lane, but they were smarter, man. They just went around the map.
That's what their players are supposed to do.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, I think that in the later half of the season, that's going to be a detriment to G2, maybe. Again, I don't know who their shot caller is. Maybe it's Perks. For the most part, I want to see them being forced into a situation where they have to rely on it, and not just rely on their heavy lanes, like lane favorite winnings, Their lanes shut up. Their lanes winning the lanes too hard because the fact is this is gonna happen in international situations, and if they don't start losing these lanes for the most part, we're not gonna see them go prepared into the because they're not gonna be winning the lanes when they get in international scenes. It's just a situation where I think that Origin G2 is probably gonna by far and away best team in the league, but I think they need to have some form of a come from behind kind of situation to really solidify themselves.
I would say for them just don't win as hard and think
I don't think that you should ever stop trying to win as hard, but I think the problem is that what they need to do is
practice macro on stage at least.
I don't even know if it's bad. I'm just saying I need to see it because I haven't seen them really have to rely on it.
I think by at least week 4 we'll get an idea of what their team can do macro wise.
Later on in the season, I think people are going to be capable to kind of hold off. But that's going to have to wait until then.
And I still don't think that it's going to be that much to the point where G2's not beating them consistently.
So G2 again 1-0. I don't think anybody else.
Schalke and SK, the biggest toss-ups. Like I said, if you predicted SK to do that well, yeah.
That's fair.
I guess that's fair.
I mean, Mad Lions didn't look terrible. They were
translating,
Don't keep trying to talk down to that region. Come on, man. It's fine. They're completely Mad Lions was capable.
This is the thing. Where do I see with Schalke? They're both 1-1, so one's gonna have the upper hand later on in the season if they beat this team right now. That's the issue. They got Memento and Selfmade, both great junglers.
I do, but the problem is that I still I think that
you're still gonna get the edge to Memento, aren't you?
But again, I think that Selfmade is an incredible jungler, but I don't think he's better than Memento. I think a lot of people are giving him a lot of credit. Again, he came into the league with a lot of hype. Came in the league with a lot of fan I'm following, but Memento was honestly I don't think his second game looked incredible, but his first game was fine. I think that Memento
first game played out literally just the way we expected.
Yeah. So for the most part, I think that Memento is gonna be completely capable of beating this team. And I think if he's at the very least capable of going even with SK, I think that the rest of the map will kind of fall in line. Schalke's bot lane wins.
by far.
It's just...
I'm saying Ignar did not look impressive, but they're still better than
I think that looked fine the second game. I don't think that SK is capable of beating them if they don't get a lead in the jungle, because their jungler is the best player. I think that's pretty obvious at this point. I think that they're going to rely a lot on trying to get these leads coming from this aggressive playstyle that he has. Watted's a weak point in this team. I don't think he's...
Watted's on road.
What's up? Why are we... God, I'm missing up these teams. Sorry.
Your brain ain't working today.
Shut your mouth. So for the most part, I mean, Pyrion obviously looked great during this season. I think that
Pyrion's from what we saw is Pyrion better than Abadage?
I mean, Abadage did not look good. Like none of these. None of the
newer mid laners look pretty good.
Not any of them, honestly. Whirlub, sorry. Again, Whirlub did not look incredible. We've seen a lot of Whirlub playing. I think he played decent on Mad Lions, but again, my hope on him is not very high because again, he did not look incredible the few times he's been in the LCS. LEC now. Like he's not looked great when he's been in the league. So I know it kind of did fine in the Mad Lions team, but again, Whirlub has already proven what he's capable of on stage. If he comes back to form, I mean, not even back to form, he hasn't really had a form, but...
His form is I play Scion in Urgod.
So for the most part, if he comes to a form where I think that he's capable of not losing his lane consistently, maybe. But for the most part, this team is going to rely mostly on, self-made. And again, Pyrion's not that bad. I think we over-exaggerate how bad he is. But he's not a 5-0 Nemesis mid laner. That shouldn't have happened. That's not how good Pyrion is. Pyrion's not that incredible. I think that that first game they got win wise was just.
But SK have something that the other teams haven't shown right now.
What?
Macro. They showed that they can do macro. It's just not as polished yet, but they've shown macro capabilities right now.
I mean,
that can get you a lot. That can actually get you far early on in the split when no other teams have developed their own style of macro.
Again, your macro only gets you so far as far as your team is good, and as far as your players are good. Like Pyrion, I think he's a good mid laner. I think that we kind of over exaggerated how bad he was. I feel bad. We kind of hyped up how bad he was because he replaced Faker, went 0-9 and stuff. But
that was one game though.
Yeah, but again,
he still played decently.
Pyrion, he was in NA. I mean,
he played on Phoenix 1 and Team Envy. He was decent.
He looked okay. He went into Korea. He looked fine in certain games, but for the most part, Pyrion has had. I don't see a reason they should have imported him. There's a lot of talent in the EU, but again, I don't know how good SK is going to be towards the end of the split because a lot of these lane weaknesses, in my opinion, are going to be exposed. I think that Selfmade is obviously the best player on this team, but Crownshot is again. I think he's capable. I think that Crownshot Dreams did not do poorly in the Fnatic series, so. I'm kind of reluctant.
SK and Schalke?
Yeah.
I'm going to say safely, I think SK is going to take it this early on.
Yeah. I think that the bot lane obviously is good and the jungler, but again, they're outclassed in both of these lanes for me in terms of Schalke. And Schalke, I mean, are able to push advantages when they have them.
But that's the problem. They have to get them too.
I think they're going to against this team.
Like I said, Ignar didn't look impressive.
I think that they looked fine. I think you're really going way too hard on them now. But for the most part, I think that Schalke smashes this game. I know a lot of people, again, based off week 1.
I'm going to say SK win this time around. From what I've seen.
I don't know.
Schalke didn't... They looked average. It looked like their bot lane and their jungler were substantially carrying them.
Again, that's the weakness. That's the strengths of this team. If they're able to counteract the strengths of SK, I think they're gonna win. But
that's pretty much yeah. I'll say SK this time around. After what I see, and then next time we'll see the match, I'll probably say Schalke.
So
SK.
And the last game of the day, I think it's gonna be Misfits.
Ooh, this is a spicy one.
Misfits versus Origin.
Because Origin didn't look that bad against Origin. They did not look that bad.
But they looked terrible against G2, who I think...
Okay, they're 6, Origin, G2's 1st.
Yes, but so is, again, Misfits is very, very much up there. I think this is going to be a very one-sided game.
How do Origin win is a problem.
How do Origin win? Again, they're macro-oriented. I think that's something they have against pretty much every one of the top teams, is they're more reliant on macro than any one of them. I think that Origin can win this game if they don't fall too far behind.
Yeah, but again, that's the issue. We literally just saw them less than almost by that day. It was almost a week. We just seen them lost to the best players in the league.
It's been
it would have been 5 days. It was almost a week. So that's the problem. It's we just saw them got completely stuffed by the best players in the league. These are pretty much the second best players in all their positions, except for Soaz. So,
like
Howard. So if they can't
even
beat,
SOAS was manhandling like.
if they can't even beat the people that are the best, how are they going to beat the people that are arguably the second best? I just don't see it. Like their best players, Origin's best players are mid laner, obviously, and Nuke Duck is only going to do so well against Febivin.
I'm gonna be honest. Misfits. I mean, SOAS looked incredible against Alfari. I think he looked really good in that situation.
Yeah. The best. That's the thing with Origin. How are they going to win? The weakest point on Misfits is top lane, and they can't.
I'm sorry.
SOAS,
Misfits. SOAS looked great. SOAS looked good in the situation that I saw him. I think that he's looked a lot better at the beginning of the season than most of his regular season starts. Like
I just don't see Origin win this match at all.
I think they can. Again, I don't think Origin's very much outclassed by the top tier teams. I just think they're the step below them. I think that Origin, it's gonna be G2 Misfits, or honestly, yeah, G2 Misfits, then Origin, then I would put maybe.
I still don't want to throw Fnatic out of the equation either.
Fnatic, I mean, I think they can bounce back, but until that happens, I'm gonna have to put them towards the bottom. But I think they're gonna be in the top 5 by the end of the season.
So you're saying I just don't see a way Origin win. I don't see a way Origin win this right now.
I think that Origin is very capable of winning this right now.
But you're not gonna put them to win, are you?
I mean, I just want to point out, it's not just pointing out who's gonna win; it's pointing out why I think they're gonna win. Honestly,
Mithy looked. I mean, the same.
I mean, Patrick and Mithy were just absolutely fine. I mean, that was kind of surprising to me that Mithy wasn't exposed as hard as I thought he was going to be at the beginning of the season.
Looked better.
He did. And Nuke Duck, again, looked incredible. Like, Nuke Duck's, again, the most solid piece. Cold completely out-jungled Broxa. I mean, you saw during the regular, like, the first game that they played against each other, or the second game.
Yeah, Cold is supposed to be someone that supports his laners and doesn't really, play that carry style of jungle. But he played it just fine. Well, Alfari looked okay too. I just still don't see a way The problem with Origin is that they have to win through bot. I think if they don't win through bot, they don't really win anywhere else that hard. Because everywhere else is just going to neutralize. And if bot doesn't fall too far behind for Misfits, if they're given a situation in the draft phase where Origin can win, then I just don't see Origin winning at all. I just don't see a point. Like, if you give Mithy, Braum, and Patrick... What did Patrick have in the first game? Like, Kaisa, right?
What? First game?
Yeah, he had like Kaiser or something, right? I just don't see a way in which Origin win the game. They have a chance to. I just don't see it. So I'm going to say Misfits.
I'm a little reluctant to just kind of throw them under the bus like that. I feel like, again, they played pretty decently fine. I think for the most part, the biggest weakness, I think that... I think that, honestly, towards the beginning of the season, I think that... I'm going to put it out there. I think that SOAS has played better. But I don't know how much better to an extent. I think Alfari is still a great player, but like SOAS has been playing pretty well on the Scion picks he's been getting. I think that was a big what if this works out. I think this team should be fine. So Misfits is going to be one of the scariest teams coming into the end of the split. They're going to be one of the scarier teams on the schedule. I think that it's going to be a clear defined top 2 teams, but again, they have weaknesses. I mean, they could easily, like, I could see if they fall behind, they'd lose to Origin. They have to win the early game. And I think that
we haven't seen them in like a situation in which they lose yet.
Well, the problem is that Misfits is, again, I don't think really good at macro. I think that most of their best macro shot caller can speak Korean. So I think that's going to be a huge detriment to them if they can't like keep up the pressure. Like, they're going to have to win these early games because I think Mithy, if he gets a lead, will be able to pull a victory for them. So it's going to rely on how strong the junglers are in terms of just trying to bring a lead to their team. Like, Maxlore against Cold. I think Cold looked great. Cold looked absolutely fine in this game against Broxa. Like, it's going to be really...
That was the game he's supposed to lose in, actually. That's the game he was supposed to get, like, out-jungled, and he was have to, like,
But the problem is that even though I think that Cold looked great, Maxlore looked quite a bit better. So it's going to be a huge... Can Cold overperform on the day? Can Maxlore not? Was that like a standout week for Maxlore? We're gonna have to see these things. I think it's too early in the season to really put a definitive how good these players are on the table yet. But as it stands right now, Origin really doesn't look like they have a chance for me. So I'm gonna give a pretty decent 1-0 to Misfits. Unless Origin somehow manages to get a lead.
I think we're just going to see another situation where, like, the G2 game.
No, man. I mean, Nuke Duck could easily beat Fevin. Like, I wouldn't want to put that completely out of the situation.
Oh, it's not going to be because of Nuke Duck's fault they're going to lose.
As it stands right now, I don't think Alfari can beat SOAS. I don't think he's looked good enough for that. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's day one predictions. That's let's hope we're right about these ones. I mean, I'm never wrong, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
We've been wrong too much now, man.
We are EU. We are EU.
Okay, I'm just gonna shut up.